Archaics, including Neanderthals, lived in the same areas as early modern humans and very associated with early modern humans, but they lived strictly separated from each other, as is supposed to be the case in a culture or in a civilization with strict classes or castes. Since archaics are millions of years old, this has been taking place for millions of years. In a clear way, this is a first indication of global or near-global advanced civilizations and economies millions of years ago. Mandrin-Cave in France show the presence of both Neanderthal and early modern human occupations, sometimes with a very short time gap of only a year or two between the last Neanderthal use and the first modern human use. So these are some images. This is artificial intelligence, but it's based on articles. It cost me more time to show the articles. And what the artificial intelligence does, since I posed a very clear question, is, let's say, quoting things of these articles. And I was aware of these articles, so otherwise I wouldn't have been able to make such a specific question. So, Mandrin-Cave in France shows evidence of Neanderthal and early modern human occupations alternating in the same location, in this case in the same cave, with modern human use beginning around 54,000 years ago. It's one of the few clear evidences of this kind of alternating use in Europe. Where the modern human molar found doesn't matter. Alternating occupation, early modern human arrival, which is quite early. This is before, at least 7,000 years before the supposed interbreeding between modern humans and Neanderthals. So you could check for yourself what is the kind of evidence. Anyhow, the conclusion is more important. In this case, complex human history. The Mandrin findings challenge previous understandings of the movement and interaction of Neanderthals and modern humans, suggesting a more complex and dynamic landscape where groups may have quickly moved in and out of the same territories. Something like that would be the case if the Neanderthals were held in captivation, and there's a lot of evidence for that. So the star is the Mandrin-Cave, and it's in the Rhone Valley, where the Rhone River runs to the Mediterranean. And this is quite strategic because it connects with the Rhone and the Meuse River coming from the North Sea. It connects to, this must be more or less the region of Karnak here. So there's a river close by that also has its head close to the cave. And the Rhone flows here, you see it here in the delta, in the Mediterranean Sea, somewhere east to Marseille. Marseille must be here. The region from Gibraltar to here, to the foot of Italy, is a very early region where activity of the Aurignacian-Culture starts 47,000 years ago. In exact locations, spatially very associated with Neanderthals. So again, it's not only in this cave, it's in general, at least from Gibraltar to the foot of Italy, which you don't see, but it includes this part. Here, it goes up this association. So it's a very active coastal association, but it goes inland. So I think that this cave is for trading, for trading. So Neanderthals can be delivered to all these places for mining, and to other places in the Mediterranean. And that is what causes the alternation, even from year to year. Modern humans, or early modern humans, Neanderthal. Early modern humans, Neanderthal. It doesn't make sense. And they live separated because it's in layers, layers with typical Neanderthal tools, and then alternating with layers with typical early modern human tools. In fact, what I suspect is that even the early modern humans are hybrids, are like a workforce. This very central, or at least strategical position, because the Neanderthals have their sites concentrated from Gibraltar to the foot of Italy, which this is only a part of it, because Gibraltar is, so to speak, here, and the foot of Italy is somewhere here. If this map would be continued. So anyhow, in these sites of Neanderthals, there is an inland dent that corresponds with this cave. Maybe there's other caves with the same purpose, but what we suspect is that this is a place of trading of Neanderthals. And even the so-called early modern humans are kind of a workforce. That's why they occupy the same cave or caves and locations. But that's too much for now. It's early modern humans and Neanderthals, which are Archaics, are alternating. This cave also shows that early modern humans are much earlier than was supposed, and much earlier than geneticists made essential for the interbreeding theoretically to be possible. It should not be before 47,000, but we see that there's early modern humans 54,000 years ago here. But in fact, what we claim in other videos is that modern humans exist longer than the Archaics, and Archaics exist for at least 2 million of years. And the proof is in, for instance, in Sulawesi and in China, because there you have evidence of admixture between modern humans and Archaics, which in that particular case, which are not Neanderthals. This is the range, the classic range of the Neanderthals. But you see that the frequency of sites is much lower in this part, let's say from the Black Sea on, and that there is a range of Neanderthal sites from Gibraltar to the foot of Italy, also to the heel. And it calls attention that the Rhone is here, the Rhone River, that received from the Meuse that has its delta here, comes down and meets with the Rhone. It's not that it comes down all the way to here. So anyhow, this is the Rhone, and this is the dent I spoke about of Neanderthal sites. And I don't go more in detail. There's much more information. But for now, Gibraltar to the foot and the heel of Italy. And then this is a map of the Aurignacian-Culture from 47,000 to 41,000 years ago. And you see that it is, let's say, quite clear. Its principal sites from Gibraltar to the east coast of Spain, all the way to the Rhone, and that you see this dent here. And you see this meeting place with the Meuse. And you see it goes on until the foot and more or less the heel. It's a bit higher here. But anyhow, all this region is red or rose, area of Aurignacian presence, 74,000, which is To date, that is estimated for Neanderthal DNA in the human DNA. So this is or a coincidence or it is associated. At least it should be looked after because it's a clear temporal association. This region from Gibraltar to the foot of Italy is more or less associated also with Cyclopean works, but that's not for now. This is Gibraltar. This is the foot of Italy. This is the heel of Italy. So this is an area with Neanderthals. It's also an area with a lot of resources because this is a subduction zone where the African plate dives under the European plate. So it's very resource rich. And again, Neanderthals are associated with resource rich, with mines. And the Aurignacian-Culture is associated as well. So what we claim is that you have as workers the Neanderthals. They are being replaced with early modern humans from the Aurignacian-Culture. But for all the time, so Archaics exists for 1 to 2 million years. All this time, early modern humans, but not necessarily Aurignacian-Culture humans, are behind these activities of the Neanderthals. So they bring them there. And they trade them like in the Mandrin-Cave. And they trade them or expand them to the mines where they have to work. And sometimes they dispose of more Neanderthals, and another time they dispose more of Aurignacian culture people, which are related to the Clovis people, which are not original humans. The Aurignacian cultures also not the original humans. They are hybridized, but more mildly than the Neanderthals. Okay, but where do they come from? The haplotype tree tells that Neanderthals come from, in fact, all humans come from South America initially. So how do they come? Well, from South America. This is the main current from the tip of Brazil, northeast of Brazil. Everything is carried by this stream to the facades of western-eurasia, but including they are dropped off, so to speak, at Gibraltar, where they are involved in mining. They are dropped off by modern humans. And just to call your attention, this is the Belém, this is where the Amazon River flows into the Atlantic. So everything that comes from the Amazon River, and the Amazon River reaches Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. And so they will drain, so to speak, hybrids to Belém, and they will follow the current and will be dropped off at Gibraltar, or more directly to other places. Here is Karnak, here is Cornwall, where there is tin. And for instance, Karnak and Aquitania are connected with a river to this strategical point of Mandrin-Cave. And that more or less flows in the Mediterranean kilometers west of Marseille.